Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Game Master and welcome to my channel. Well, since a lot of people have been talking about it on social media, even a friend tagged me on Facebook about it, I guess I should talk about Atari making a new game console. Um, Atari 7800 was my first game console as a kid. And for those who don't know who Atari is, which I'm pretty much sure everybody does, but for those really youngins out there, they weren't the first video game console manufacturer ever. If you've heard that, that's a lie. They were, however, the first game console to actually use cartridges and have games that you could swap out. So, in many ways, I guess you could say they're the first video game console ever that we would understand as a video game console. And they were very popular in the late 70s to early 80s until they really screwed the pooch by um, paying a lot of money to market a game that they did not give the development staff for it enough time to finish, and that game kind of tanked. And because they marketed so heavily and manufactured so many cartridges for it, it ended up bankrupting the company. Since then, the name or the company itself has switched hands many times. Right now, it is owned by a French company, I do believe, that once went by Infograms, I think is what they were originally called. But they bought the Atari name because we Americans would know it and they could get access to some of the Atari licenses. However, I do believe a few years ago they did pretty much the same mistake as the original Atari. Tried to market a game too heavily, did not give the developers enough time to really fix it. And I think it was a PlayStation 2 game, so they didn't have the ability to really patch it. So, yeah, they haven't been in really good waters lately. That's why you haven't heard from them. So, all of a sudden, this Ataribox thing is announced, and from what I think of it, I say it's a load of marketing hype. They are not going to be making the next Xbox One or the next PlayStation 4 competitor. Here's why. Sony and Microsoft are huge companies that have more than just gaming aside, and while they're not at the peak like they were 20 years ago, they have other modes of making money, and they do have steady revenue for the most part. Sony's in bad financial waters, but I haven't heard anything about them going bankrupt recently, so I have a feeling they're starting to steady off. Microsoft is, like I said, Windows may no longer be the world's most popular operating system, but they still make decent money too, I do believe. So they have plenty of other things they're juggling that can make the money. As far as Nintendo goes, yeah, they're a video game only company, but they've been in the market for 30 or 40 years, back when it was much cheaper to get into said racket. They have the name, they have their IPs, and while their consoles do oftentimes fail, their handhelds have not. Their handhelds have been super successful, so they have really deep pockets as well to make and launch a console. I don't see Atari, especially since they were like declaring bankruptcy a few years ago, really having the financial clout to really be able to invest in a decent console manufacturer. You'd need to write your own operating system. You'd have to buy the parts. You'd have to manufacture several million of them. And then you'd also have to find ways to get people to really develop for the system. That costs a lot of money. So I don't really see Atari having those kinds of funds in the pocket. So what do I think this is going to be? It might be a little bit more than an NES classic. They might release something that does have programmable Atari games. They might release something that people can even develop and download games on for. But it's not going to be an Xbox-like console. It's not going to be a PlayStation-like console. It's going to be some sort of cheap budget indie thing, because Atari can't afford to do anymore. I might be wrong, but my thoughts of Atari getting back into the game and being a major contender in the console hardware industry is about as much chance as Sega doing it, and that would be next to none. So don't buy too much into the hype that Atari's coming back, that it's going to be a major console manufacturer. They just don't have the funds and resources for it. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. This is Tommy the Game Master. Leave your comment down below if you have any ideas or suggestions about this.